Look at all this. Good afternoon. I'm Eric Barden, Deputy Chief of Seattle Police Department. Here to give an update on yesterday's homicide and carjacking in the East Precinct. Yesterday at about just before 10 a.m., officers received a call of a carjacking that occurred in the 300 block of Martin Luther King Way East. Officers responded to that call and found citizens giving aid to a woman that was down in the road. They took over life-saving efforts until Seattle Fire Department personnel showed up and then turned that over to them. Unfortunately, the victim succumbed to her injuries yesterday. Officers responded to the scene, conducted an investigation. The citizens were very, very helpful, very cooperative. We had a number of citizens that, as the incident was occurring, stopped and tried to help the woman as she was being victimized. Individuals stopped. I'll tell you a little bit more about the details once I kind of give the sketch of the incidents as it played out over the day, but tried to stop and help her. Later in the day, citizens reported that an individual was hurting a dog at Brighton Playfield. Animal control officer was dispatched to that scene, found a dog that had been stabbed to death at that scene, and noticed that the name on the collar of the dog that was deceased, the owner of that dog was the same name as our victim, Ruth Dalton, in the homicide. Officers then responded, were able to locate the victim's vehicle. The carjacker was able to leave the scene of the original carjacking in the victim's vehicle. That vehicle was located down near Brighton Playfield. Our latent print techs and our crime scene investigators responded to that scene, processed that vehicle. Our latent print examiner was able to lift a print off of the victim's phone that was left in the vehicle, which identified our suspect. Our suspect is a 48-year-old Jamed K. Hayes, Seattle resident. Subsequent to that, officers set up surveillance on locations that we believed we might locate Mr. Hayes. This morning, Mr. Hayes was observed in the area of his residence. Our SWAT team was able to safely make an arrest at that time. At the time of arrest, the subject had a knife in his possession with some blood on it. He also had Subaru keys that subsequently were tested on and are from the victim's vehicle. We can turn this picture around here. You can see it, but you can't. So obviously, these are the keys that were on the suspect at the time of his arrest, and this is a screenshot from a video that a citizen had taken after the incident when the suspect was driving away. You can see her vehicle was severely damaged during this incident, and he still had the keys on him when he was taken into custody. So a little bit about the details, then I'll answer some questions. Sometime before this incident ended up in the 300 block of Martin Luther King Way East, the suspect had gotten into the passenger seat of Ms. Dalton's vehicle. She was in the driver's seat of the car. There was at least two dogs in the vehicle at the time. There was a struggle. The vehicle was driving on ML King, and there was some sort of a struggle in the vehicle. The vehicle drove up onto the planter area, grass next to the road. There was a struggle there. The suspect was trying to push Ms. Dalton out of the driver's door of the car. She was resisting. That is when citizens stopped their cars in the road to come and assist her. One of the citizens came up to the car to engage with the suspect, and he produced a knife. At that point, that witness backed away, went and retrieved a large stick or a bat or some similar object, came back to try to save the woman, and at that point, the vehicle backed up rapidly across the road and crashed into two parked vehicles that were on the other side. Ms. Dalton was struck during that crash into those vehicles. The subject then drove away from the scene, and Ms. Dalton was left there, where citizens then began to provide first aid to her. It's believed that the suspect drove the vehicle immediately south to Brighton, where he killed the dog and then fled that area in an unknown means. We don't know how he got out of there at this point. The subject is under arrest, and we expect charges to be murder in the first degree, since there was murder in the commission of a robbery, and animal cruelty in the first degree. The subject has 8 prior felony convictions and a history of mental health concerns. And we want to thank very much the community for their assistance, for the heroic actions of passersby who just happened to see something like this happening and tried to intervene, and then subsequently assisted and were great witnesses for the officers and detectives who responded to the scene. I'd like to shout out patrol, both east and south precincts, the latent print unit, crime scene investigators, our MHPs who responded to the scene to help citizens who had been through that horrific event and who were very, very upset. We had Jeremy Farkas, one of our officers, do a sketch, a remarkable sketch now that we have the subject identified. The photo unit, Community Violence Task Force, SWAT, our partners at King County Prosecutor's Office, and all of the detectives in the homicide unit. It's fascinating, something like this happens, something horrific and tragic like this. Everybody dropped what they were doing. Very important cases that they're working on, with the exception of a couple. Everybody dropped what they were doing and helped a brand new detective in the homicide unit who is working her very first homicide. And everybody pulled together and was able to make this identification and arrest in a very quick manner. Any questions? I don't know that. That is part of the investigation to determine what preceded where the actual crash occurred. Some time before that, but I don't think it was a long time before that. But so likely something just previous.
Deputy Chief, you said that one of these guys who tried to intervene had time to get a bat.
Yeah.
That would suggest that, at least to me, that this was a sustained attack. Do we know how long this lasted, start to finish?
It really wasn't that long. It was literally across a lane of traffic. The gentleman exited his car in the road, ran over, tried to assist, saw the guy produced a knife. He ran, 8 feet back to his car, grabbed a stick or a bat of some kind, and returned. And as he was returning, that's when the vehicle backed up and ended up crashing into the parked vehicle. So it was a matter of seconds, but it was certainly ongoing.
You know how many dogs were possibly in the car? Because we heard from residents that they saw dogs escaping and there were dogs in the car when the car fled.
We believe that there were at least 2. We don't know exactly how many. There was a dog that had gotten out and at the scene, and then, of course, the dog that was killed.
And that dog was, the Ruth's car.
Yes, yes.
Deputy Chief, I just want to make sure I heard correctly. Did you say that the suspect was inside the victim's car? And if so, why?
That's the investigation. That's the part that we don't know yet. That happened before. We have some video, that picks up different pieces of the puzzle. At the time that the vehicle initially went up onto the planting strip, he was already in the vehicle at that time. He was in the passenger seat. She was in the driver's seat. There was a struggle. We can't really see what happened at that point, but based upon citizens and witnesses telling us, there was a struggle that was going on at that time. He was trying to push her out of the car. Somehow or another, she was partway out of the vehicle as the vehicle backed across the road and crashed into the parked vehicles.
Deputy Chief, you talked a little bit about the suspects or the individual's criminal history. Can you elaborate on the felonies and if he was out on bail or kind of?
Yeah, he hasn't been arrested recently. I think the most recent arrest was 2005. I don't know the reason for that. I don't know if he was in custody. I don't know if he was in treatment. I don't know the answer to that. I don't have, he has a vehicular homicide conviction from 1993, but I don't know any of the other specifics.
Chief, just kind of hearing the chronology of events, it seems like this is a case where someone saw something and they said something, even down to the part where they saw a dog being abused.
Yes.
I mean, describe the importance of witnesses in this case and them not being fearful to report what they were seeing.
This is an excellent example of citizens coming to the aid of their fellow community member at the time of the event, and then cooperating with the police completely from start to finish. We had folks calling in with information about our victim, trying to assist us in solving this crime. And this was a great collaboration with community and collaboration internally within the police department to take this dangerous man off the streets.
Do we know the fate of the other dogs that were in the car?
I do not. I believe that dog is safe, but I'm not. I haven't heard anything other than that other dog is fine.
Deputy Chief, we had heard that Ruth was a dog walker and people in the neighborhood knew her.
Yes.
Can you explain how they knew her?
Yeah, it's been relayed to us again by citizens in the community that she was a well-loved 80-year-old woman who still was operating her dog walking business, and her vehicle had been outfitted specifically for carrying dogs, etc. And many people in the community knew her by virtue of the fact that she was seen walking around the community all of the time, and also obviously walking some of the dogs from the neighborhood.
Is there any interaction between the two? Do they know each other?
We don't believe so. We believe this is a random incident. We don't believe there's any connection between them at this point.
Deputy Chief, talking about the victim in this case, what's the message that you have for her family? This was an 80-year-old going about her day doing the most innocent of things, and this is what happens.
Exactly. This is a tragic and horrific incident where a wonderful member of our community was active and participating vibrantly in her community at 80 years old, and that was snatched from her and from her family and her friends and the community by virtue of this senseless, violent act.
Has anything in the investigation yielded any kind of indication of a motive? I mean, we keep hearing from neighbors over and over again, how could someone do this? And not just the tragic killing of Ruth Dalton, but to then stab the dog. Yes.
Start to finish, this case is troubling and horrific. I can't imagine, other than him perhaps wanting a vehicle. That's pure conjecture, but having folks with chronic mental health issues in our community. This person has a history of, he's within our systems, it's logged that he is a violent person.
Did he have a weapon on him when he first got into the vehicle?
I have no idea where he obtained the knife. He presented the knife while in the vehicle. He presented the knife to the gentleman that was trying to help Ruth. And then he had the knife on him when he was arrested today.
Do you have a description of the knife?
No.
Could you provide details of his arrest and how that went?
We had plainclothes officers surveilling the area that we anticipated that we would find him in. Officers located him. We had our SWAT team standing by when he was located, and it was confirmed to be our suspect. SWAT moved in and made an arrest.
And you found the fingerprint on the phone, correct?
The fingerprint was found on Ruth's phone within Ruth's car after the dog was found dead. One or two more. Thanks all, appreciate it.
Remember what his specific crimes were, like around 2005?
The only thing I have noted here is a vehicular homicide from, what did I say? 1993.
Where was that?
I don't know. Thanks all.